When you wake up in the morning and look into the mirror, what do you see? Do you see years written on your face, or do you see a life that still carries a purpose waiting to be lived? Many people, when they reach the age of 65, begin to believe that life has already passed them by. They think the days of meaning, the days of building, the days of contributing are now behind them. But this is the greatest mistake of the human mind, to measure life by years instead of by purpose. God does not look at the number of your birthdays. He does not measure the wrinkles on your skin or the speed of your steps. He looks deeper. He counts what is unseen by others. He counts the intentions of your heart, the strength of your spirit, and the purpose that is still burning inside you. That is why today I want you to listen with both your mind and your soul, because the message I share with you is not only about surviving life at 65, it is about awakening to the realization that your greatest mission may still lie ahead of you. Do not let the voice of society convince you that your time has passed. Do not let the silence of your own doubts convince you that God has finished with you. For as long as you are still breathing, you are still becoming. As long as your heart is beating, your purpose is alive in me. And the truth you are about to hear will remind you of this. God doesn't count your years. He counts your purpose. When you think about the passage of time, you may feel the weight of the years pressing upon you. At 65, society often tells you that your role has diminished, that your contributions have already been made, that what remains is to sit quietly and watch the world move forward without you. But this is not how life was designed, and this is not how God sees. Age may mark the body, but purpose is something untouched by years. Your calling does not retire, it does not expire, it does not shrink simply because another candle has been added to your birthday cake. Purpose is ageless, and as long as you are alive, it continues to breathe within you, waiting to be lived out with new strength. There is a dangerous illusion that youth is the only season of action and that the later years are meant only for reflection. But purpose is not like a flame that burns out with time. It is more like a well that deepens with every season of your life. In your younger years, you may have drawn from the surface waters, energy, ambition, and the desire to prove yourself. But at 65, you are reaching into the deeper waters, the place where wisdom, patience, and clarity live. These qualities are not the signs of an ending. They are the tools of a new beginning. When God gives you purpose, He does not attach an expiration date. He places it inside you as something eternal, something that continues to grow no matter how many years pass. Think about the seed of a tree. It carries within it the design to grow, to flourish, to bear fruit. Even when the seasons change, the tree still fulfills its purpose. Spring brings blossoms, summer brings shade, autumn brings fruit, and winter brings stillness. Yet in every season, the tree is living its purpose. Your life is no different. At 65, you may feel like you are in autumn, but autumn is not the end. Autumn is the season of harvest, the time when everything planted through years of hard work, pain, sacrifice, and love finally shows its fruits. This is why your purpose does not fade with age. It ripens, it matures. It becomes more powerful because you now carry what younger years could not yet understand. Too many people confuse retirement from work with retirement from purpose. The world may tell you that at 65, it is time to step back, but the spirit within you is still calling you to step forward. The body may slow down, but the heart does not stop dreaming, and the soul does not stop carrying the desire to matter. You must remind yourself daily that life is not measured by the number of years lived, but by the depth of meaning carried within those years. There are people waiting to be touched by your story, waiting to learn from your wisdom, waiting to be guided by your light. So, if you silence yourself now, if you believe the lie that your time has passed, you withhold the very gifts that God placed in you to share with the world. There are countless examples of individuals who discovered or lived their greatest purpose in the later chapters of their lives. They were not diminished by age. They were defined by it. They carried with them the courage that only comes from endurance, the clarity that only comes from reflection, and the humility that only comes from experience. And with those qualities, they were able to make an impact that their younger selves could never have achieved. In the same way, the years behind you have not lessened your purpose, they have sharpened it. They have prepared you to step into this season with greater depth, greater authenticity, and greater meaning. When you wake each morning, do not see yourself as someone who has lived most of life already. See yourself as someone who has been prepared for this exact moment. The experiences, the challenges, the victories, and the mistakes of your past are not chains holding you back. They are tools that equip you now. Purpose does not grow old. It becomes refined. It becomes more focused, more urgent, more essential. And if you allow yourself to listen, you will hear that the calling within you is still alive, still speaking, still urging you to rise and live fully. Age does not define your value. Age does not reduce your calling. Age simply adds layers of strength, of clarity, of wisdom. You are not too late and you are not too old. You are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment of life's journey, and the purpose inside you remains untouched by the years that have passed. God does not count your years, He counts your purpose. When you look back at 65 years of life, what do you see? You see moments of joy and moments of sorrow, victories that lifted you high and failures that brought you to your knees. You see seasons of abundance and seasons of loss, times when you felt strong and times when you wondered if you could endure another day. All of these moments, every single one, have not been wasted. They are not random pieces of a broken puzzle. They are carefully placed experiences, shaping you, molding you, preparing you to become the person you are today. God does not discard the past. He transforms it into a tool, and the tool He uses most powerfully is experience. Too often, people look back on their lives and feel regret. They think of mistakes they wish they could erase, words they wish they had spoken differently, paths they wish they had taken. But what they do not realize is that even the wrong turns, even the painful chapters, are carrying lessons of value. The scars you carry are not signs of failure. They are signs that you endured. They are proof that you overcame. And now those scars become a testimony that can help someone else find strength in their own battle. Experience is not a burden. It is the raw material of wisdom, and wisdom is the greatest gift you can offer the world. At 65, you may think your usefulness has diminished because you no longer have the same energy, the same speed, the same physical strength. But God never intended for your worth to be measured by those things. Instead, He values what the years have placed within you: understanding, perspective, patience, resilience. These are treasures that can only be earned through time. A young person may know the theory of life, but you know its reality. You have walked through nights that seemed endless and still seen the sun rise again. You have faced disappointment and discovered that life does not end there. You have tasted both joy and pain, and in both you have learned what truly matters. This depth cannot be rushed. It cannot be bought. It cannot be taught in books. It is born only through experience, and you carry it now. Think of how a diamond is formed. It is not created in an instant. It is forged through pressure, through time, through conditions that seem unbearable. And yet, when the process is complete, what emerges is something unbreakable and precious. Your life is the same. The hardships you have endured, the weight you have carried, the seasons that seem too heavy to survive, all of these have been forming something within you that is strong, enduring, and beautiful. Your experiences are the diamond, and God intends for them to shine, not to be hidden away. And it is not only for you. Your experiences carry the power to guide others. There are younger souls searching for direction, for answers, for wisdom. They are standing where you once stood, feeling what you once felt, and you have within you the ability to help them, not with theories, but with truth born from lived reality. When you share your journey, when you speak honestly about your struggles and how you overcame them, you become a light for someone else who feels lost in the dark. That is why your experiences matter. That is why nothing in your past is wasted, because everything you have lived through can be transformed into hope for another. At 65, you are not empty-handed. You are rich, rich in lessons, rich in endurance, rich in perspective. You are carrying treasures that cannot be measured in wealth or possessions. These treasures are not for keeping to yourself. They are meant to be poured out, to be given, to be shared. Every story you carry has the potential to heal, to guide, to awaken. But it requires you to recognize the value of your own experiences, to stop seeing them as regrets or burdens, and to start seeing them as gifts. The world often teaches us to value youth, to celebrate beginnings, to admire fresh starts. But what the world forgets is that endings too have their glory. The later chapters are where wisdom resides, where the lessons of life come together in a way that only time can allow. If you are 65, you are not at the edge of irrelevance. You are standing on the mountain of experience, able to look back at the path you climbed, able to help others find their way up the same difficult trail. That is your strength, and that is the tool God places in your hands. Never underestimate the weight of your journey. What you consider ordinary may be extraordinary for someone who is just beginning to walk the path you have already traveled. What you consider weakness may be the exact testimony that gives someone else courage. And what you consider a wasted year may be the very story that God uses to touch another heart. So when you look at your 65 years, do not see wasted time. See the masterpiece of experience, refined and prepared to be used for a purpose greater than yourself. God does not count the years. He counts the wisdom, the resilience, the strength, the lessons that you now carry, and He calls you to use them. For in His eyes, your experience is the greatest tool. When we reach a certain age, many people begin to think that life is now about themselves, about rest, comfort, or enjoying the little time that remains. But the truth is, purpose is never found in isolation, and meaning is never discovered in selfishness. The deepest fulfillment in life does not come from what we keep, but from what we give away. At 65, the greatest measure of your existence is not the possessions you have gathered, not the titles you once carried, not even the achievements you can recall. It is the impact you leave in the lives of others. God does not measure purpose by accumulation, He measures it by service. Serving others is not about grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. It is about allowing your life to become a channel of kindness, a source of wisdom, a light in someone else's darkness. You may not realize how powerful a simple word of encouragement can be to someone who is struggling. You may not recognize the strength you can offer by just listening, by showing understanding, by reminding someone that they are not alone. At 65, you carry with you the lessons of decades, the ability to see what truly matters, the perspective to guide others through storms that once shook you. That is not a small gift. It is one of the greatest offerings you can bring to the world. When you live with the intention of serving others, your days begin to take on a new kind of richness. Instead of measuring your time by routine or by how quickly the years pass, you begin to measure it by impact. You ask yourself, whose life did I touch today? Whose burden did I help carry? Who walked away stronger because I chose to share a part of myself with them? These questions bring clarity to your purpose because they remind you that life was never meant to be lived only for yourself. The beauty of service is that in giving, you receive more. In uplifting another soul, you find your own spirit lifted higher. Many people spend their younger years chasing recognition, wealth, or achievements, and while these pursuits may bring satisfaction for a time, they are fleeting. At 65, you begin to see with greater clarity that the things that endure are not the things you built for yourself, but the lives you touched along the way. It is the child you mentored, the friend you supported in their darkest hour, the stranger who found hope because of your kindness. These are the unseen seeds of purpose that grow long after you are gone. Service is the soil in which true legacy is planted. It is easy to fall into the belief that at this stage of life, you have less to give. But this is not true. You may not have the same physical strength, but you have the strength of perspective. You may not move as quickly, but you move with intention. You may not have the energy of youth, but you have the depth of wisdom. These qualities make your service even more valuable because they come from a place of authenticity and truth. People may not remember the words you spoke decades ago, but they will remember how you made them feel when you showed them compassion, patience, and understanding now. Service is not limited by age. In fact, it often grows deeper with age. At 65, you have already seen how fragile life can be, how easily people can break, how much weight a kind word or a helping hand can truly carry. That awareness gives you the ability to serve with greater sensitivity, to touch hearts in ways that youth cannot yet comprehend. When you reach out to others, you are not only helping them, you are reminding yourself that you still matter, that you still have a role to play in this world, that your existence is tied to a larger purpose that transcends the years. There is a secret in service. When you live to uplift others, you yourself are healed. When you carry someone else's burden, your own seems lighter. When you bring hope to another, your own heart begins to shine again. And this is why serving others is not just about giving, It is also about living. It is also about living. It keeps your spirit alive. It keeps your days meaningful. It gives you a reason to rise in the morning with energy and intention. At 65, your purpose is not fading. It is transforming into its purest form. Into its purest form. It is no longer about proving yourself, no longer about chasing, no longer about building your own name. It is about using the richness of your life to pour into others. It is about reminding the world that you are still here, and as long as you are here, you will be a vessel of light. Purpose does not retire, it only deepens. And you will discover that the greatest fulfillment of all is not found in what you keep, but in what you give away. God doesn't measure your years. He measures your purpose, and your purpose comes alive when you choose to serve. At 65, many people begin to believe that their story has already been told, that the chapters have already been written, and what remains is little more than an epilogue. But what if the greatest part of your story has not yet unfolded? What if the years you have lived so far have only been the foundation, and the real purpose, the true calling, is waiting for you in this very moment? Too often we confuse age with endings, but God does not work according to human calendars. Where people see a conclusion, God sees a beginning. And where the world says it is too late, God whispers that now is the perfect time. Think of how many stories are remembered not for how they began, but for how they ended. The beginning may capture attention, but it is the final chapter that gives meaning to the entire book. In the same way, your life at 65 carries the potential to become the chapter that defines everything that came before it. The challenges you faced, the lessons you endured, the wisdom you gathered, these were not wasted experiences. They were preparation. Every tear, every hardship, every joy was shaping you for a moment when you would no longer simply live for yourself, but for a greater purpose. And that moment may very well be now. It is easy to look at the past and feel as though the best days are already behind you. Youth has passed, strength has changed, and the mirror reflects a face marked by years of living. But what you may see as decline, God sees as maturity. What you may see as the fading of strength, God sees as the sharpening of clarity. In the earlier seasons of life, energy often outruns wisdom. In the later season, wisdom finally takes its rightful place. And wisdom is what creates impact. At 65, you are not less capable of living with purpose. You are more prepared than ever before. They are not about proving yourself, chasing recognition, or racing against time. They are about living intentionally, giving freely, and embracing what truly matters. At this stage, you have nothing left to prove to the world, and that freedom allows you to live with a depth of authenticity that younger years often cannot hold. You can speak with honesty, act with courage, and love with purity. And in doing so, you create a chapter that may become the most meaningful of your entire life. Many people forget that some of the most powerful callings in history were fulfilled not at the beginning of life, but toward the end. Some of the most inspiring words were spoken, the most transformative acts were done, and the most enduring legacies were built when people embraced the idea that it is never too late to live with purpose. The final chapters often shine brighter because they carry the fullness of all that came before them. At 65, you have behind you a library of experiences, and now is the time to use them to write the most impactful part of your story. What does it mean for a late chapter to be the greatest? It means you choose to live with courage instead of regret. It means you decide to pour your wisdom into others rather than keeping it hidden inside. It means you rise each morning with the awareness that time is precious. And because of that, every action, every word, every gesture matters more. It means you stop looking at the years that have passed with sorrow and start looking at the days ahead with anticipation. For when you live with that kind of awareness, you do not fade quietly into the background. You step boldly into your purpose. The beauty of life is that no matter how many years have passed, as long as breath remains in you, the story continues. You still have something to give, someone to impact, some legacy to leave behind. And what you choose to do now in this season can echo further than anything you have done before. The late chapter is powerful because it carries urgency. You are no longer distracted by illusions. You are no longer chasing empty pursuits. You are free to live with intention, and that intention can change lives. So do not look at 65 as an ending. Look at it as the opening of a chapter that can hold more purpose, more love, more truth, and more meaning than all the chapters that came before. The story is still being written, and what you choose to write now may be the part that inspires generations after you. God does not count your years, He counts your purpose. So as you walk out from this moment, remember this truth: your age is not a closing door, it is an open invitation. Do not count the years behind you, for they are already written. Count the purpose still alive within you, because that is what God sees, and that is what the world still needs.